So Rachel, a lot of times the public perception is that cybercrime is low impact because it's not a violent crime. However, the victims of cybercrimes experience a lot of the same effects felt by victims of violent street crimes. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of those psychological impacts and what these victims might be experiencing in their day-to-day life?
Sure. So many times victims are experiencing PTSD. They're experiencing a lot of the same traumatic responses that someone who has experienced violent crime or other types of crime have experienced. And what we know to be true about trauma is that it can be two people can experience the same sort of situation and have very different reactions. I always think about in terms of financial fraud, right? Many times victims of financial fraud are feeling vulnerable, are feeling like they should have known better. And the weight of losing your fortune or your money can be a toll on victims. And so when we think about how victims of cybercrime are processing really traumatic events, it can manifest in a lot of different ways. They often feel guilty for being victims. They often feel like they should have known better. When we think about too in terms of the demographics of folks who might be experiencing certain types of crimes, so older adults who were susceptible to an investment scam or financial fraud may feel shame because they feel like they're older, they should be wiser, they should have known better. When we think about victims of sexual assault who maybe experienced the sexual assault in person, but then have to go and see their story being refuted online, or their campus community telling them that they should have known better. Why did I wear that skirt? Why did I go to that party? I shouldn't have been drinking. And so they are experiencing a lot of different emotions and reactions to what has happened to them. And so we know that studies have shown since 2020 and this pandemic that we lived in, there was some research done that 90% of victims in this particular research were victims of human error, breaches, data breaches, that cybercrime, or that we know that during the pandemic that cyber threats have gone up 30,000%. And so anyone can be a victim of this, and the way in which they process that trauma, that emotional turmoil can range from a lot of different actions and coping mechanisms.
Rachel, that's all super insightful information and very impactful. I think what you just shared will definitely help our audience understand what family members might be going through that have been victims, or validate what they themselves, if they've been victims, are going through.